Mr. President, in fair analysis and comment, I congratulate you for a bold, decisive, yet extremely unexpected response to what is happening in the country in your dissolution of the entire cabinet yesterday. Please get me right, Your Excellency. I am not celebrating the sacking nor the firing of all or none, but I'm just saying, as a president of the nation, the man with the authority to steer our country in peaceful and turbulent times, you did well yesterday. It is a fair response to a great detrimental challenges that your regime finds itself in today. And yes, let me say, I am on record of not having been your supporter. And this is not a confirmation of it, but where you do well, we must say it. You inherited a country with myriad of challenges that have built over since the days when Kenya was under the rule of governor generals from Britain. And your main challenge and problem, sir, is not less than the administrative bureaucracy. Part of the reason I have decided to send this oral letter to you is simple. One, the country is crying of far-reaching and deep changes in the way the affairs of the public are run. The country is bleeding of the way its resources are expended, and the country indeed is crying through their younger generation, about 10th generation since 1900, of how their affairs have been administered by governments successively. Where is the problem? The problem is much. But, Mr. President, you are a leader of a government whose administrative bureaucracy, and administrative bureaucracy is a civil service in a legal term, is rotten to the core. It is not your problem. It is an inherited, compounded, and collective rotten nature of the administrative bureaucracy since 1920. But you are the leader today, and a good leader picks no advice that does not interfere with the goodness of the Constitution. A good leader takes no offense in listening to the list of members of society like me. But I will tell you this, having served in government myself in 20 months, I'm actually thinking the cabinet secretaries whom you have just fired served around the same time I served, but I was not fired myself. I resigned to go and contest in Kigumo constituency. Mr. President, because the country is crying for change, and because you find yourself at the helm at this particular hour, either by fate or by coincidence, you have a moral and godly eternal responsibility of doing the right and reforming thing. And this is the thing. The cabinet secretaries are gone, but they have left under them state departments that are headed by principal secretaries. The principal secretaries under them have departments that anchor the ministries upon whom bosses you have sent home. We are expecting, sir, that there shall be things that shall make our government, because government is endearable to the young people. And what is an endearable government? What is an enviable government in the name and aspirations of Gen Z and millennial like me? Mr. President, a country whose hospitals are functional with well-trained, courteous doctors, nurses, and medical profession, whose shelves have all the drugs to treat all the diseases, and in a hospital where the prices for medicines are negligible and whose cost is almost free, is an enviable country. A country whose transport is effective, efficient, and orderly. A country where road carnage and road indiscipline is met with law and force of it, is an enviable country. A country where its leaders are respectable, respectful, and uses the resources of a country not in opulence nor with arrogance, is an enviable country. Mr. President, an enviable country is a country where education is accessible to the rich as to the poor, the quality of it guaranteeing every child from whichever family equal access, and bringing them at the table of equity, is an enviable country. A country, Mr. President, where security of women, children, the vulnerable, and all is guaranteed, is a good country. Enviably so, Mr. President. A good country is a country whose churches, mosques, temples, synagogues, and forests give the worshippers an equal opportunity without preferring either. And a country of such nature is enviable. Mr. President, when all of us will go to hospitals, go to school, go to transport infrastructure, and live in a country where businesses thrive, all the children are treated equally, and where the government listens to the people, acts for the people, and where representatives are not compromised, is a good country. Mr. President, Generation Z are saying an enviable country is a country where corruption is not tolerated. Indeed, corruption in nations like China is a malady. Instantly you are caught, you are punished instantly. Mr. President, corruption has become the cancer of our body politic. Corruption has become the defining language in this government as before, and Gen Z and millennial cannot take it any longer. The ministers are gone. We hope the PSS will face the axe soon. But we also want, Mr. President, an effective, lean government that shall herald us to the next election, where Kenyans can make a decision as they wish and deem fit. Where I am standing today, I would call you to radically reform the public administration, the so-called national government administration officers. This is where the rot lies. From the chief to the regional commissioner, from the OCS to the IG of police, into the running of the defense mechanisms of our country, Mr. President, that is where the public service is being rotten. It is the place of weakness for you. When the day shall come that government officers can offer services without asking Kenyans for bribes, when people will walk into government offices either virtually or physically and find that their services can be offered, we shall not care who becomes the president. Whether that man shall be an Ogiek or a Pokomo, whether that person will be a Gabra or a Somali, whether that person shall be a Kamba or a Luo or a Kikuyu, all these things, Nande Tugen, will not matter. That day, Kenyans will come together and remember the cost of their reforming agenda going on today. And let me tell you, Mr. President, there is a revolution going on in Kenya. A revolution that seeks deep questions and yearns for deep answers so that our country becomes effective and efficient for us all. And because you are the head of state at this particular hour, and because you have been sworn and taken the oath to protect the Constitution, this is a time. God has given you a rare chance, a rare moment in history that no other president got, to reform the country. All the political debts have been solved and settled by Gen Zs. All the encumbrances and all the siege that had been laid by political interests around you have been removed. How you take it over, Mr. President, is up to you. How you utilize this moment to turn around our nation is up to you. I may not be supporting your government, but I support a new Kenya that you can create. Godspeed.